Hey, Steve Magnante here at High Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts with another High Octane Walkaround, this time on a 1964 Corvette Stingray Roadster. Now we all know that 63 was the debut year for the Stingray, independent rear suspension, and on coupe models, the split rear window, which for 64, by the way, Chevy went to a one-piece rear window because the split down the middle kind of obstructed view to the rear. But here's the thing, as cool as those coupes were, they did not sell nearly as well as the Roadsters. In fact, in 1964, 22,229 Corvettes were sold, 1964. And again, of them, 13,925 were Roadsters and only 8,304 were coupes. And here's the thing, the Roadster was also cheaper by about $220. Base price on this back then was $4,037. Fairly expensive car. Let's make our way around this one. Now this is a 64, the second year for the knockoff wheels, but the reality is 63, the wheels were never actually allowed. But here they are, 64, first time you get them, about 800 people actually got them. And if you look at this spinner right here, you knock this thing in that direction with a brass hammer and it spins off, the wheel comes off. Behind it is an adapter that has the threads and the cone. And again, you could use a standard steel wheel on a Corvette with some longer wheel studs, but with that said, behind these wheels are going to be drum brakes. Discs wouldn't arrive till 65 the following year. But again, the timeless styling of the 63 through 67 Corvette here in its second year. And again, the Roadster was far more popular. 13,925 of these, far more than the 8,304 coupes. Now again, the beauty of the Stingray is just the function and the form holding hands, if you will. At the back of the car, the way the exhaust tips protrude to the roller valance. Standard equipment right there, just a beautiful effect. Now the pipes are a little bit long, but that's on purpose. Shorter pipes would stain the under area and the bumpers, whereas these were tested at GM to make sure that they wouldn't result in any kind of staining at the back of the car. And just a beautiful effect here. And you gotta love where the gas cap is. It's not a medallion, it's actually a cover for the gas cap right there. And in fact, there was a big tank car with a 36-gallon tank that was an option for road racers or traveling salesmen, you call it. And most importantly, 1963 and 4 and up through present day, Corvette went to independent rear suspension. And if we look on the bottom of this thing, you'll see a transverse leaf spring that allows this to have better road handling capabilities than the live axle seen on Corvettes in 1962 and before back to 1953. But of course, the biggest thing about the Corvette to me is what's under the hood. Let's take a peek. One thing unique about Corvettes at this point in time was how the hinge of the hood was not in conventional form, but rather at the front. The hood opens like this. Kind of cool. Of course, that's kind of a nod to the Thunderbird, but you gotta remember, 53 Corvette came out before Thunderbird. So Corvette basically set the stage for the front hinged hood. But this one here has the small block. Again, no big blocks until the following year, 1965, when a 396 was possible. This one here is the one step up, 300 horsepower 327. The aluminum valve covers tell the story, as does the dual snorkel air cleaner. This would have a Carter AFB with 300 horsepower. Below this, the base 327 would have had 250 horse, a smaller 4-barrel carburetor, and would not have had the high flow exhaust manifold seen here. But again, this one here being a pre-1967, we see the single circuit brake system. No problem with that. It was standard fare on all cars until 67 when the federal government mandated dual circuit brakes. 63 was the first year for an alternator, so we see it here for the second time, replacing the generator, far better charging at low speeds. So that's the story of the engine, the 300 horse 327 under the hood. Let's take a peek inside and see what kind of transmission we have. Now, as America's sports car, the Corvette obviously has a floor shifter. Again, sports cars don't have column shifters. And the beauty of this one here is a factory 4-speed car. The base transmission in Corvette in 64 was a 3-speed manual. It would have 1, 2, 3 right down here, but this is the $184 extra aluminum cased Muncie 4-speed. And getting back to the base engine and this one step up 300 horse, the tachometer here redlines at 5,000 RPM. The next hottest engine option would have a 5,500 RPM, and the big fuel injected engines would have a 6,000 RPM redline. So if you were a smart street racer back in the day, you'd take a look at the tach and that would tell you what engine was under the hood. Now this car does have a radio. Interesting too that Delco had to arrange a specific radio for Corvette that was vertical, like we see here, versus horizontal. horizontal on most GM cars, and that was to fit the center stack here, the waterfall type layout. Now, the one thing about Corvette, it is a plastic bodied car. It's fiberglass, and the distributor, which has a lot of electromagnetic interference, the RFI, would really pollute the signal unless the antenna was placed here at the back of the car. And this is why Chevy Corvette generally has the antenna as far away as possible from the distributor so that you didn't pick up interference and that Bobby Darin song wouldn't be distorted by the fuzz. But with that said, going back under the hood, another part of the radio package on these things is the way the distributor is shielded by this stainless steel metal housing. And in fact, the spark plug wires are also encased in metal housings. Again, stainless steel down below the exhaust manifolds. The point of that, all of it, is to keep radio signals from exiting and getting through the plastic firewall where it can hurt the radio reception. So that's kind of cool. Now, a radio delete Corvette won't have that 10 work. So that's kind of an interesting little touch. But here we have it right here, 1964, second year for the mighty Stingray. If you like this car, be sure to check it out on the High Octane Classics website.